Hey guys, Ben Crosswhite here, and today I'm going to tell you the 3 tips for fat loss that trainers don't want you to know. All right, number 1, count your blessings and your macros. Both are very important. Make sure you count your blessings every day with your family, with your job, with your peers, the people that you are with, your spiritual life, because that's going to keep your cortisol levels down. That's going to help you to be emotionally stable and able to hit the gym even harder. But also count your macros. Don't leave that out. You need macros. It's not a fad diet. You need to know how much of each you're taking in. Now let's talk about macros. Let's break it down. So you have protein, fat, and carbohydrates. You have different types of fat. You have unsaturated and saturated, poly and monounsaturated as well. And then you have your carbohydrates, simple and complex. So within the macros, I like to tell my clientele to stick at around 40% protein, 35 fat, and then 25 carbohydrates. And you can fluctuate with this depending on what your trainer says, depending on your body type and what works for you. So you have a lot of fad diets out there, a lot I don't recommend. I don't like fad diets or things that people are trying to make a buck selling a book or selling a YouTube site or whatever it may be. They're just trying to make some money, and they're going to tell you what is going to be the catchiest thing and the newest fad diet there is. Now macros and counting macros is not a diet. That is something that needs to be done because you shouldn't eat all carbs, you shouldn't eat all fat, or you shouldn't eat all protein. You need some of each, you just need to know the breakdown. With that, the 40, the 35, and the 25 breakdown of protein, fat, and carbohydrates is gonna be your best bet for weight loss, for fat loss, and for building muscle mass and preserving good quality muscle mass. And we'll dive into that a little bit deeper as well. But count your macros, make sure you go in deficit, but not too much. I tell a lot of my clientele that have the best results, it's not a short-term game here. It's a long-term game. You shouldn't lose a lot of weight initially. So don't cut your calories too much. I usually say your basal metabolic rate, which you can calculate and message or watch the other video on how to calculate your BMR. And you wanna keep that at a minimum of 9 calories per pound. So you wanna stay 9 calories per pound of your caloric intake. And if you go below that consistently, your metabolism will slow down. You might lose a lot of weight initially. You will, more than likely. But then several months later, it'll slow down, you'll stop losing weight, and you'll probably even start gaining weight. So that is not the way to do it. You wanna keep your calorie content moderately high. But you have to keep it in the right macronutrient breakdown. You have to eat enough protein, you have to eat a certain amount of fat and a certain amount of carbohydrates, and even within that, the micronutrients, that needs to be specific as well. You gotta focus on what you're eating within those macronutrients. So eating a lot of high saturated fat content, a lot of dairy, a lot of hamburgers and bacon and sausage and things of that sort are not gonna be the best bet. You need things that are gonna have more monounsaturated fats that are gonna burn more visceral fat in your body, such as avocado, nuts, seeds, and some of those other ones, coconut. The plant-based fats, majority of plant-based fats are gonna be your healthier fats, and that's a majority of what you need, not a lot of the saturated. With the carbohydrates, stick more complex, and even more so, try to stick more with whole foods. So fruits, vegetables, lean vegetables, try to stay away from some of the starchy things for weight loss and for fat loss. You really wanna keep the legumes at a minimum. You wanna keep the potatoes at a minimum, but you can still eat that more so than you can the simple processed carbohydrates. So stay away from the pizza, the breading, stay away from pasta, stay away from any kind of breads that have enriched bleached flour. There's a lot of healthy options out there. Just make sure you choose the right ones. As Arnold would say, protein is numero uno, okay? So protein is a must. High protein content is an absolute must. The higher the better. It's hard to get too much protein. I know you've heard that before. Your body can only process so much protein at one time or so much protein in a day. That is absolutely false. Muscles can only process protein so much at a time, but your body will utilize every ounce of that protein unless it's in an extreme over level, and in that case, we rarely see that. So your organs need protein to sustain. Obviously, your organs are more important in your body, so they're gonna take the protein first. What's left over typically is for protein synthesis within your muscle fibers. So if you don't get enough, your organs are gonna stay functioning, but your muscles are not gonna grow properly. When you don't grow proper muscles and you don't have a good enough growth there, then your metabolism will start slowing down. You're not gonna burn as many calories. You're not gonna build as much muscle mass and raise your BMR to where it should be, which is a long-term weight loss goal and sustainability. You need muscle mass for good sustainability, and protein is the #1 thing to get muscle mass. Make sure, I like to tell my clientele, that you want to get at least 1 gram to 1.2 grams per pound of body weight. There's a lot of calculations per kilogram, but that's good for per pound body weight, 1 to 1.2 or more. That's an absolute ideal. Protein is also an absolute. So protein minimum should not go minimum based on your body weight. Even if you're 110 pounds compared to someone 210 pounds, you should have a minimum of 100 grams of protein. That should be your #1 goal, is getting your protein content high. That's gonna help build lean, good muscle tissue. It's gonna help burn fat. It's gonna burn 50 calories to sustain that 1 pound of muscle, and a pound of fat only burns 5 calories. So you may not lose it initially as much, and when your weight loss goal starts happening, you may not lose it in the first 2 weeks or 4 weeks. But I promise you, you are burning fat and you are building muscle mass. So count your measurements, watch your energy levels, do your measurements, and have other ways of measuring other than weight, because when you gain muscle mass, it's 19.8% more dense than fat, and you are going to experience that. Cardio is hardio. So, well, on burning fat at least. Cardio is not your #1 concern with burning fat. And I know a lot of people say that. It's been a myth for years. Rarely do you see a lot of sustainability in athletes and people that have a lot of good lean muscle mass with little body fat doing a high amount of cardio. They're typically in the gym, they're lifting weights, they're doing a lot of resistance training, and that is gonna help build more muscle mass, it's gonna help raise their BMR, it's gonna help burn the fat more efficiently, it's gonna target the beta receptors within the fat cells more than the alpha, and it's gonna help overall sustainability of weight loss, because the more muscle you build, the more calories you're gonna burn, like we just talked about, 50 calories per pound. So every pound of muscle you burn, your metabolism is gonna go up significantly. The other thing with resistance training is you're gonna burn calories for a longer period of time. So when you exercise with weights, you do heavy weights, you stress your muscles out, you have microscopic tears within your muscle fibers, and then they start rebuilding after you're done lifting, you're gonna burn a higher amount of calories over the next 3 days compared to when you're on a treadmill or doing some kind of cardio. So when you do cardio, you only burn the calories on that treadmill or on the elliptical. When you step off, your body is not burning any more calories. That is not good. So you wanna be in a caloric deficit, and weight training is where it's gonna be. And weight training is what's gonna build the most muscle mass, and in turn is gonna raise your metabolism and keep fat off for much longer than just doing cardio. Thanks for watching. I hope this helped. I've been a trainer for 15 years now, and I promise these are mainly things that trainers are not gonna tell you. So share this video, like it if you don't mind, subscribe to our channel. I'm gonna put out more content every week and give you more tips each and every week. Thanks for watching.